What went wrong the first 8 minutes?
Well, if we were to answer what went wrong, we would never get to leave. What went right, I can answer that one. Nothing. I knew they were going to play really well, and I knew they'd shoot it well. I mean, they gave a game away against Evansville the other night. They had a one. They missed 2 front ends and 1-1s. They got veteran guys that are used to winning. We knew they'd play great, which they did. There weren't a lot of the way they played. It wasn't a type of game, if they were going to play at that level, that we had much chance of winning. I'm bothered by how we played, and that's not to take anything away from them. They were great. They did a great job. We were poor in every area you could be poor in. At the defensive end especially, where we have to get stops. We're capable of having some offensive difficulties, which we've done a lot this year, and we've still hung around and stayed in games and won games where we haven't played well on offense. So I'm not worried about that, and they just picked us apart on the other end. We were not anywhere near good enough in that game on the defensive end.
You talked about how even if you played your best, the way they played tonight may have been a little too much. How many teams, I mean, do you think would have had a chance in tonight's game the way they had played?
I mean, you know what, the way they played tonight, I don't think too many people would come in here and win. Maybe Creighton or Wichita would argue that, but they played at that level. They played as well offensively as we've seen anyone play. I mean, their shooting percentages, even if you were doing shooting drills, which most of the night it felt like they were doing shooting drills, was off the charts. They didn't miss shots, and they kept moving the ball. And we were a step slow, but there's no excuse for what we did. I mean, we helped their cause, and as I've said twice now, if they play like that, they're not going to lose many games. And they've already lost twice at home. They were kind of wounded and backed in a corner and had to play well. And they came out and made a couple early where we gambled, which we have not done. And we just ran passing lanes, just kind of lost our minds a little bit, and weren't very sound. And then they made a couple, and then they just seemed like they kept making them. Most of the nights on it was great, and the big guys took us off the dribble, which is an issue that we need to get resolved because we were really poor. We were really poor.
We were encouraged a little by the start of the second half. You got it down to 14 there.
Well, you know what? I thought that our guys responded and showed the level of character and effort that we kind of have expected to see and that they've shown the majority of the year. But I mean, they still outplayed us in the second half too. And part of the issue for us right now is just our energy and emotional level. I felt like before the game, this thing was a perfect storm, and obviously we did a bad job coaching it and getting them snapped out of it. But I mean, we're a little bit tired. We were leg heavy the other night. We looked leg heavy in practice at times. We certainly looked step slow against Indiana State, and you can't be a step slow against a team that executes well like they do. And we were a step slow, and they just make you look silly out there. And but I thought in the second half we responded and showed some fight, which was the only real positive that you could offer up. And then once we got through our wave of making a little bit of a run, they elevated, and we were unable to sustain anything.
What was Simon doing specifically that you just guys couldn't contain him?
Well, I thought he did a good job locating himself to the corners, and he seemed like he made a lot of corner threes. So much of it was our overextending because we did such a bad job on the ball screen, and it forced our wing guy to help way in. And if you stay out with them, they're going to shoot a layup, which a couple times guys stopped trusting the rotations. And they're capable of getting like that on offense. And we knew that coming in. They can make shots. You can't give them space. You have to bother the basketball and bother the passer. Other than the first 10 minutes of the second half, they were never bothered. They just threw it where they wanted to, caught it when they wanted to, and our fundamental habits on the defensive end were atrocious.
You got some offensive performance out of Crawford tonight. Is that somewhat encouraging?
Yeah, I was more encouraged by the fact that he played a little bit harder, and I thought that he tried to go in the second half and even a little bit in the first half and give us a spark, which is something that we need from him, and something that he sometimes is really good about, and other times maybe not so much. And we haven't had. It's been a while since we've had a game where we've been able to just off the bench really get a big lift. I mean, the bulk of our heavy lifting has been done by the starters, and recently it's been by the backcourt. It's kind of been interesting because early in the year our inside guys were carrying this, and we're struggling right now along the baseline a little bit, and that's really being an issue for us at finishing and some of those things, and then makes the guards' job even a little tougher because we're asking them not only they have to play great defense and get over ball screens, but they've got to go down on the offensive end and carry us down there, scoring a lot of points. Walt had a tough game. We're not going to win when Walt struggles. It wasn't Walt's loss. That was as total a team collapse loss as you could have. But I mean, everybody in the league knows Walt's been playing well, and if Walt doesn't play well, we have some holes that we really can't plug.
It's obvious, you got to keep touching out of foul trouble.
Yeah, he committed a couple ones that he's got to be a little bit more disciplined to show his hands in the post and not settle to when a guy tries to seal him, he's a physical player, so he ends up kind of checking the guy back. And they're always going to catch the second guy, and he's unfortunately right now in that mode where he's doing a lot of response physicalness, and you gotta anticipate and show your hands and be quick with your feet, and that's stuff he can work on and get better. He's still in his first season, and there's a learning process and a curve there, and we'll get to work with him, and hopefully that's something he can figure out. The last 2 games he hasn't been in foul trouble much, but when he is, I mean, it's another kind of dagger in us that it's hard for us to get beyond.
Anything else?
Good. Okay.
Thanks. Good.